hunkering down. Lowest level of your home is preferred. If you don't have a basement, go to the lowest level and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So this is new information. A tornado warning has been issued for Buncombe County and McDowell County, Rutherford County as well involved in this. This is a tornado warned storm that is now coming out of the very northern and eastern portion of Buncombe County. It's radar indicated, so that's some good news, but treat this as if there were a tornado actually happening. So we want you indoors in all these areas where you see this red outline. That includes areas farther to the east of Montreat, down into Old Fort. This storm is bearing down on you. Let's put a track on this for you to give you a better idea of how this is going to progress. I'll zoom out a little bit more. And this storm is moving fairly quickly to the south and east, so let's move it down. To give you an idea, that's Coleman around 1226. That's very close to where we are now. We got Old Fort around 1234 in the morning, Lackey Town around 1236, and then White House around 1248. Just to give you an idea, some of the locations included in this tornado warning. So if you're anywhere from Highway 221 here into Madison County, west and northwest, up the areas into eastern Buncombe County, far western portion of McDowell County, you're under a tornado warning. So we want you inside. The lowest level of your home is preferred. If you can get there soon, please do so. Obviously, we don't want you traveling as the storm has the potential of producing a tornado. It's radar indicated, but there is the potential for at least damaging wind as this storm continues to march on to the south and east. Let's see how fast it might be moving now. There's some new information coming in. You see this, the curling motion here that indicates rotation inside the thunderstorm. Our radar can actually see that, and it usually warns on that for us. This storm, a portion of it moving about 15 miles per hour to the east. If there's more of it, though, to the south, that could be moving a little faster than that. So we'll be watching for this to come into Old Fort and certainly over I-40 very shortly. In fact, some of the storm itself is beginning to move over I-40 at this time. You can see some of the bright orange colors moving over I-40 into Black Mountain as well, about to bear down on you. I'm going to take the warning off. In fact, I'm going to take this off, and there's the storm itself. A very powerful storm capable of producing a tornado. No guarantees it is, but it's certainly rotating. And that is what gets our attention. Whenever you see these couplets, as we call them, these areas that you have green showing up here and red showing up there, and somewhere in between, there's a possibility of a tornado. I'll put an X right there. That's right over I-40 now. As you go east of Swannanoa, that's where some of the rotation is strongest. We have another little couplet up here north of there, north and west of Old Fort. These will continue to move on to the south and east. So treat this warning seriously. It is a tornado warning for eastern Buncombe County, southwestern portion of McDowell County, and northwestern portion of Rutherford County until 1 a.m. Let me put some tracks on here for you. We'll take this rotation, we'll take this area of rotation and move it south. This will give it some idea of where to expect it in Old Fort around 1235 in Old Fort. Give an idea of Dendron around 1230, so you don't have much time to react, and we certainly want you inside a sturdy structure anywhere from Highway 70 around Old Fort to the west as you go closer to Black Mountain. Get inside and stay there and postpone travel. Many of you obviously are already inside. That's great news. If you are not watching us from your phone or somewhere else, we want you to be safe. So let's go back and show you the radar. It's a very active scene. We have a tornado warning again for the portions of southeastern and eastern Buncombe County and western and central portions of McDowell County back into northwestern Rutherford County. That's a tornado warning until 1 a.m. for those counties. This is a serious situation. Obviously, could potentially be a life-threatening situation, so move inside a safe place. Mobile homes, unfortunately, are not safe in these situations, and you want to definitely be somewhere safer as these storms come out of the higher elevations over southern Yancey and northern Buncombe County and move into McDowell County as we speak. So it's about to move into McDowell County. The circulation is pretty intense with this, so we're watching it closely. The radar has triggered a tornado-warned storm because of this, because of the rotation. I've been showing you this earlier. There's some strong rotation with the winds coming toward the radar here and then away from the radar in the red. And anytime you see that shift, that's where we get enough rotation inside the thunderstorm that it could spin down to the surface and possibly produce a tornado. So this is right over Montreat and now quickly moving over I-40 east of Swannanoa. That's one area that is concerning. There's a little couplet up here where you see red and green meeting up, and that's closer to Montreat as well. There might be some wind damage there. This is Highway 9 cutting out of Black Mountain, so anything along Highway 9 certainly has potential of at least wind damage, if not something worse, which would be a tornado. We are watching that very closely. Let's get back to the radar and see what we have going on here. Plenty of activity going on, no doubt. So continuing to see that severe thunderstorm. Just reading some new information there, nothing changing on the warning itself. So a severe thunderstorm has prompted a tornado warning until 1 a.m. for eastern Buncombe County, western and southern central portions of McDowell County, and down into northern Rutherford County. So if you see that red polygon, that is the area that you definitely want to be inside a sturdy structure and away from the windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible within this area right here. That is the tornado warned area as it stretches down into McDowell County. And that storm is crossing I-40 very quickly too, about to cross I-40 near Black Mountain, and that's where some of the worst weather is happening at this moment. I'll take that warning off for you and get back to the radar. Pretty active scene here. This is our most concerning thunderstorm of the evening because it is prompting a tornado warning. Obviously, we take that very seriously and want you to as well. There's some of the more recent information coming in with the velocities, and we're certainly watching some of the strongest rotation here just around the Black Mountain area. It's moving right over Black Mountain now. So if you're in Black Mountain, you certainly should be. There's a new update. There's a new scan, and now it's shifted over into McDowell County. Some of the worst rotation is just around the Old Fort area now and southwest of there. So we're moving down Highway 9, which is right here. You got I-40 cutting across, 221 farther to the east of there. Anything within those highways certainly has the potential of damaging wind, if not something worse, an actual tornado. There is no confirmed tornado. I want to emphasize that. This is a radar-indicated tornado, and what that means is the radar's parameters for determining enough rotation have been met, and that triggers the warning. All right, so the National Weather Service is going to issue that warning, and we're going to bring it to you as well. So if you're certainly in this area from Black Mountain south and east into McDowell County, I-40 area of McDowell County south as you go to 221 into Rutherford County, be inside a sturdy structure if you haven't gotten there or are not there already, and hunker down as this is a potential for the damaging wind threat or something worse. So this is plenty of activity to watch. We still have the risk for more severe thunderstorms into the coming hours. We are watching things closely on radar in all locations. This is where the risk is going to be greater, where the yellow is located, and that's a lot of area still, a lot of real estate to deal with the potential for severe thunderstorms overnight, and the risk is certainly higher to the west, even though we've already seen storms move through those areas, so that's the good news. When these storms move through, we're certainly going to quiet things down rather quickly. I want to show you Futurecast because this is really a good grasp on when these storms are going to eventually move away from Asheville and areas to the south. And it looks like down here into the upstate by 2 a.m., southern foothills, that's where the worst weather is going to be in the coming hours. We're now at 12:27 in the morning, and we got about another 30 minutes on what is a tornado warning for portions of Buncombe County, McDowell County, and also Rutherford County. That's a tornado warned storm. That is until 1 a.m. All right, a radar indicated tornado warning. So there's the latest update. I'm going to turn the radar to a different mode for you and show you this. That's the storm itself, right? Oh, want to get that up there. Right here is the cell that we're worried about, right over Old Fort, as this storm is rotating enough that it could produce not only damaging wind, but maybe a tornado too. So it's moving areas over Old Fort, western McDowell County, south and east of there. We'll put a track on this as we stop the radar for a second. We'll get you back to a track and show you how far this may go in, say, the coming 30, 40 minutes. Heads up, and Lackeytown around 12:30 and White House around 12:45, if not sooner, as the storm will be racing its way in that direction. So those are some of the locations involved. So we're between 221 and Highway 9 on the eastern side of Buncombe County. And these are gnarly looking storms too. As you see the flashes as the scan goes by, these are storms to take seriously as well. Up 221 north of Marion towards Woodlawn, and we have strong thunderstorms too over into Burke County that are probably going to be warned on here shortly. But the idea is that we definitely want you to be aware of the situation. New severe thunderstorm warnings were issued for portions of Transylvania County. We talked about that earlier. These are strong, if not severe thunderstorms now moving east of Brevard. Those are down 276 and into western Henderson County. A lot of heavy thunderstorm action now into Henderson County. So we'll be waiting on new warnings possibly coming out for this area between Hendersonville and Brevard. Right now, the warnings are farther to the west of those locations. And one again, go up here to that tornado warned storm that's coming out of Buncombe County now into McDowell County. So it's really McDowell County that's taking the brunt of this at this time. It's western McDowell County. A quick update on some of the velocity. Where you see green meeting up with red, that is an area that we are concerned about for the possibility of stronger rotation within the thunderstorm. And that's happening just to the west of Old Fort. That's an older scan now, so I'm sure this has already moved into Old Fort and crossing I-40. Of course, if you have any wind damage and you know of it, you can always report it to the National Weather Service or us, and we'd certainly be able to share that information. It certainly helps us in terms of trying to gauge how serious the situation is. But since it is a tornado warning, you want to be inside a sturdy structure, the lowest level of your home. Basement is preferred, or somewhere if you have walls to put between you and the outside, as many as possible. So we will certainly be watching for that as we go through the evening and continuing to update. Temperatures have been warm enough today to support these thunderstorms, obviously, and we've had a pretty active scene across the area. So it's definitely going to be busy for the coming hours. I think we're going to be dealing with these severe thunderstorms at least for another hour or two before we start to quiet things down into the overnight and the wee hours of the morning. We'll probably have another round of some strong thunderstorms come through later on tonight into the very early morning hours, and we could have some heavy rain. Reiterating, tornado warned storm that is over eastern Buncombe County. Want to watch that area very closely, so we'll continue to update the situation, but we want you indoors and away from windows and certainly lowest level of your home. We'll be watching this storm closely on radar in the coming moments to see how it progresses into McDowell County. That's the update for now. We'll certainly get you back to regular programming.
So here is a track of the storm. We've got Chrissy and Catherine and myself here keeping an eye on all of this. There's a potential for a tornado near the city of Anderson, moving toward Belton and Honeypath, Ware Shoals, Lawrence would be in the line of this storm. I want to show you the rotation within it. And you can see the bright reds, the bright greens right here that kind of come together here right near Anderson. That's what we're seeing. That's where we're seeing the potential for a tornado to develop. So, I mean, literally right on top of the city of Anderson right now. So if you are waking up to these alerts, you just need to make sure that you get the kids up, get them into a safe place, and take those tornado safety precautions. And we're going to go through those in just a second. But just want to reiterate who is in the path of this storm: Princeton, Belton, as well as Honeypath. This is going to go on the east side of Anderson and will eventually move into Greenville County. Greenville included, but not the city of Greenville. So there we are, city of Anderson there. Let's get to the tornado safety precautions, Catherine, if we can. Let's just kind of reiterate what you need to do. If you were in the track there, if you're in the city of Anderson over toward Belton and Honeypath or any of the smaller communities around there, we need you to get up, wake up the kids, whoever's in your household, and get into that safe place. This could be a tornado on the ground at any moment, and there have been tornadoes with this system all through the day today. You want to get to the lowest floor of your home, away from windows, hallway, bathroom, or closet. This is going to be a different room in every home. It's all about putting as many walls between you and the outside as you can. You want to be low. you want to be on the lowest floor, and protect your head too. Sometimes kids can grab their bicycle helmets and put them on when they get into the bathroom, get into the closet, and that can often be a really good thing to do. So this is going to be going until 2:15. Right now it is 1:53. So this is going to be for the next 20 to 25 minutes as we watch this rotation in the city of Anderson. So the way this works is the radar is going to be getting new data and kind of jumping ahead. So a lot of this is going to be surging toward Belton here very, very quickly. We've got Creightonville, Sailors Crossroads as well in the path of this potential tornado. It's not something that's been spotted on the ground, and chances are we're probably not going to get any ground truth for a while on this because it's nighttime. Hard to see something like this, but we may end up dealing with some damage. And you can kind of see how the reflectivity is kinking around. You've got this little notch just to the north and east of Anderson. So again, that tornado warning there because of the fact that we're seeing rotation that could translate to the ground as a tornado. Now, city of Anderson and Belton, you're in the immediate threat at this point, but southern Greenville County, Catherine doing a fresh storm track on this for us, which takes it into Campbell, Honeypath, Belton, and then ultimately you're going to want to watch out for this anywhere from Fountain Inn, extending down toward Ware Shoals as well. But the worst of it over the city of Anderson, even if this does not produce a tornado, Catherine and I were looking at this. I mean, there's a lot of wind with this storm. So no matter what, it's a dangerous situation to be out in. You can see those bright greens indicating some very, very gusty wind. And we also had some very gusty wind go through Greenville too. We'll get to that in a second. But again, you can see that strong outflow wind coming out of the storm. And then the potential for rotation still not too far from the city of Anderson, really just off to the east, and is continuing to make its way toward Campbell and Belton. So we're tracking the storm, we're in touch with National Weather Service as well, and we haven't gotten any specific details on the storm as of yet. When it comes to any reports of damage or anything. And that's been good news today, is that we really haven't had a lot of damage reports come down from some of this wind that's been moving through the mountains and now into the upstate. $50 sized hail is possible with this. So maybe we can put on our hail tracker in a second and get a look at that too, even though the tornado threat is the primary concern for us right now. But absolutely the hail could cause us a lot of problems. So around the city of Anderson and moving toward Belton, Honeypath. Now this hail that you're seeing right there in the light blue, that would translate to somewhere around quarter to upwards of possibly egg size, depending on if this were to flare up or down. But you can see as we've zoomed in pretty tight there, this is between Oak Hill Drive and Harriet Circle. Again, not too far from the city of Anderson. In fact, it looks like that's pretty much on the northeast side of town as of right now. So again, this is on the beginning of this tornado warning, but the tornado warning extends all the way through the west or eastern part of Anderson County, Belton, Honeypath, Princeton, Ware Shoals, and then Catherine giving us an idea of exactly the track, the leading edge of that activity as it continues to move that direction. So let's put the wall hot, and we're going to talk a little more about this storm and also look more toward the Greenville area, as we've had some pretty strong wind there too. We're not going to ignore this storm though. We're going to keep a close eye on this Anderson warning, but many of you around Greenville, Spartanburg have been getting strong wind, heavy rainfall, and we've actually had some of our cameras, if we can actually take our Harley Davidson camera or any of our tower cams around Greenville, we've had some pretty heavy rain and wind, and it's continuing. You can see there the whipping of the tree, and this is right at the 385 interchange. And then you can also see we've got quite a bit of lightning there at Pelham and 85. That's another camera that we have over Greenville. This tornado warning, of course, not for the city of Greenville or east side of Greenville. This is for Anderson, but just to give you a little perspective, because I'm sure many of you are hearing this thunderstorm outside your window and kind of wondering what your situation is around Greenville, Spartanburg. And at this moment, there is no tornado warning for you, but there's certainly a lot of wind and heavy rainfall. But embedded in this line, we've had rotation develop, and now it is beginning to shift over toward the Belton-Honeypath area. So this is going to be the area that's under the gun now for that possible tornado. And it's out in advance of this, where you really need to be taking those tornado safety precautions around High Point, Tony Creek, Honeypath, these smaller communities in Anderson County, over toward Princeton as well, Creightonville. Get into your safe place right now. If your kids are sleeping, if they're in a room with windows on the edge of the house, you need to make sure and get them up, get them into that in a safe place, a bathroom, hallway, closet, somewhere without windows. That's the most interior low spot in your household. So again, that tornado warning, this is now beginning to move east of the city of Anderson. We'll give you that all clear when we can. We just need to give it a little more time to make its way eastward, but it's really bearing down on Belton and Honeypath at this time. So that's where we're seeing the greatest potential for a tornado to develop. And you can get the broad idea, broad scope here of where this tornado warning is happening. It's outlined in black. It began around Anderson, and now we're looking at that threat moving toward 178, and then eventually we'll pass by Belton, make it over towards southern Greenville County, and ultimately into the western part of Lawrence County. So hopefully it will not hold on for that much longer, but we had a couple of line segments that kind of met up together, and a lot of times that will help to initiate this kind of spin and rotation. And I know that Catherine Noel's been keeping a close eye on National Weather Service chat for any updates, and of course watching this storm as well. And Catherine, we're seeing this storm hold on to its intensity, and again, National Weather Service issuing that tornado warning because of those concerns for that rotation at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So still watching this tornado warning in place. And I've been talking with the National Weather Service. We actually have them pulled up. You know, we're chatting and seeing what's going on. No word yet on if there's any indication that there's anything on the ground. This is all radar indicated. Still a storm to take extremely seriously as, you know, we continue to track this here. And the tornado warning continuing at this point. So we're just waiting, you know, up until they do cancel it. You know, we'll let you know. But this is still something to take seriously. And this is still into play, at least for the next 14 minutes, we know, as we continue to go through at least the potential of this happening here.
And that's right. And it'll be it looks like they have adjusted that polygon just a little bit, so we can give you the all clear around the city of Anderson now that the rotation is firmly just east of Belton at this point. And then looking ahead toward Princeton, you're going to be next in line to see some of this rotation move your way. And I'm looking at another source, and yeah, that I'll say that it's holding together pretty well. Unfortunately, this storm is not weakening as it pushes eastward. If anything, it's tapping into a good bit of the leftover energy, moisture that we have. And this is just overall a very powerful storm system that has a lot of wind dynamics with it. So as we watch this area of rotation continue through Anderson County and then ultimately make it into southern Greenville County, we encourage you to take those safety precautions. Get to the lowest floor of your home, away from windows. And Catherine, let's take the reflectivity off and see if we can just get a look at the storm relative velocity again, about where we can identify a little bit more of it, the spin. And yeah, it is very, very close to Belton right now. So I urge you, if you're anywhere around High Point, Tony Creek, any of these areas that are close to the city of Belton or just off to the east, that these are the spots where you need to be in your safe place, because that tornado, if it is on the ground, it is moving eastward quickly, and it is likely going to be over some places like Shady Grove Road and other spots in the eastern part of Anderson County, Descheno, High Point, some some of these communities along 178, and then eventually transitioning into Greenville County. Here's Princeton, one of the notable towns in the path. But there are all kinds of smaller communities around here too that will be impacted. So we need to remember that too. Duncan Township. So we have right now a tornado potential indicated on radar over Belton, and this is going to be, again, transitioning east, and you can actually see that. We just got a brand new update. So now City of Belton, you've got a couple more minutes, then I think you can go ahead and come out of your safe place because that rotation is beginning to shift eastward. Honeypath, you're next really in line when it comes to the threat for a tornado to develop at this late night hour, something we just don't see all that often here. And that's one reason that we're here for you through the night. We want to make sure that you feel safe, and we're going to be tracking this rotation and let you know when it finally calms down, when it is safe for you to go to bed or let the kids go to bed, because I know there are a lot of folks up in Anderson right now with some scared kiddos, I'm sure. So we've got High Point in the path of the storm, right along 178. Here's Honeypath. And the rotation generally coming out of Belton and moving toward Honeypath at this time. And then we zoom out. Let's do a good zoom out here just to give a little bit of perspective of what we're looking at. This is still fairly far south of Simpsonville. You're not looking at that threat for a tornado. Gray Court, you're on the very end of this warning, but the spin in the atmosphere, the rotation that we're seeing is really right now between Belton and Honeypath, and then it's going to be moving right into Princeton. So these are the areas where we need to be taking those tornado safety precautions. And let's put those back up on the screen, Catherine, just to reiterate what to do, because it's the middle of the night. You may just be turning us on and realizing that you are in this warning and need to get to your safe place. And it's maybe been a while. You want to get to the lowest floor of your home, away from windows, hallway, bathroom, closet, any room where you don't have to deal with windows, and it's the most interior, lowest room in the house. Ideally, a basement's great, but most of us don't have basements here in South Carolina. If you do, that's where you want to go, though. Otherwise, just get to the lowest point you can in your home and put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. So let's go on back to the radar and take a look at how it's progressing through Anderson County, and also check in some other spots. But you can just see this line is all kinked up in Anderson County, and that is usually an indicator that we've got some kind of rotation going on within the line. These are usually short-lived tornadoes when they develop in this kind of fashion, when you don't have them out by themselves as individual thunderstorms. But they can also just happen so quickly with very little warning and still cause quite a bit of damage, unfortunately. So a fresh storm track on this one as it continues through Descheno, Honeypath, MacArthur's Junction, Princeton, Poplar Springs. All of you need to be in your safe place right now until we get the all clear, until we see this rotation come down with the thunderstorm. And each time we get that update, we'll do our best to give you that all clear once we see that the worst has passed. So a tornado warning, again, continuing for what we have: Abbeville, Anderson, Greenville, and Lawrence, but the primary issue has been in the Anderson County area. That's why we've been focused there. And one thing that we were talking about in the earlier shows and just recently in the last few minutes, see these plus signs that are developing here. The plus signs are lightning strikes, but they happen to be positive lightning strikes. These are the loudest. They usually indicate a storm that is incredibly strong because these are the lightning strikes that originate really high up in the cloud and come down. So this is a continuing to be a dangerous situation as it evolves, moving into Honeypath. As we speak, really, with the worst of the rotation. Now, Catherine Noel has an update for us as she's talking to National Weather Service.
Yeah, and Kendra, so I've been talking with them, and we know the tornado threat is looking lower than when it was initially, so we love to hear that. That's something really great to know. Still take this serious, though. I mean, still be in your safe place. You know, we're calling out where you're at, but this is something that's just an update that we're seeing. Those winds, though, still increasing. That threat is going to be something that we just continue to see, too. I mean, we're talking very strong winds, potentially damaging winds too associated with this. We've seen that with our tornado or severe thunderstorm warnings all throughout overnight. So winds have been a threat. And then also we could see these weak, brief tornadoes too, possibly. This is something that we have continued to watch, and this is why we have this tornado warning in place. Still up until 2:15 at least for this area. And like the National Weather Service has said, I mean, it does look like this is weakening, but it is still going to remain into place, at least this tornado warning will, until they really have the all clear that we're good to get out of our safe space. But that's just not the case, at least right now for this area.
Yeah, and that's we love getting that update. It's not to let your guard down, but it's a sign that if you are sitting in your safe place and listening to us through our app or at foxcarolina.com, or you have the TV turned up really loud, because that's often a way you can do it, just know that there's a decent chance that maybe you will be able to come out of that spot a little earlier than anticipated. But this warning is going to be going on for the next 7 minutes, and then we'll see if it is extended by 2:15. But at this point, have not seen any kind of real defined tight rotation that indicates to us that we're seeing a tornado on the ground, but we're in the process of seeing this storm cycle potentially, and it could come back and look like more impressive rotation in the next update. So that's why you want to stick with us so that we can keep you posted on what we're seeing with this Anderson County storm. So beyond this, let's go back to just regular reflectivity rain and zoom out so that I can show you in Greenville and Spartanburg, Gaffney, where all of this is and when it's going to get better for everybody, because you may just be up watching us because your kids woke you up because of the thunder. I know that mine often do. We've got the lightning strikes across Spartanburg. Greenville is seeing some of the worst of the rain and wind shift south, and you can see that view there. There's still lightning strikes, and you can see the flashes at 385 and 85. But this is not nearly what it was before. Looks like it has settled down a good bit, at least when it comes to the wind, but still pretty gusty out there. The heaviest rain now over Simpsonville, Piedmont, into Spartanburg, and Gaffney. You've got steady rain over you as well. And then obviously we go farther to the south, and we have the greater concern for a potential tornado as this line kind of cluster here has developed and has begun to rotate. And as it has, the fear that we could see a tornado drop out of the thunderstorm has been elevated over the last few minutes. That's the reason that tornado warning has been issued. But a lot of lightning strikes between Belton and Princeton. So now Belton, you're now in the clear when it comes to the rotational aspect of this storm, but still getting a lot of lightning and heavy rain. So I don't jump to get outside or anything like that, but we are seeing the worst of the weather begin to transition now closer to the Greenville County line with Anderson and eventually over toward Princeton too. So a lot of lightning strikes, a lot of heavy rain, a lot of gusty wind continues with this system. And we're along the 85 corridor where it is luckily not a time where a lot of folks are traveling, but there may be some, of course, out there doing coming back from a second shift or third shift. Maybe somebody that has to be out traveling at this time of night. Maybe give them a call, give them a heads up if you know that they'll be traveling into this area where we have this tornado warning, because eventually this could cross over I-26 if it were to hold together. But again, the hope is that the weakening trend will continue with this storm as it gets into Princeton and then ultimately toward Hickory Tavern, Poplar Springs, and then making its way down along 76 too. So we're going to, again, stay with you and keep you posted while this warning is going on, and we will be watching any developments with it as well. And Catherine, let's go ahead and put on the storm relative velocity and see if anything has gotten a little bit more intense here. And you can really see it kind of sticks out where we have this kind of indentation, but not a lot of bright colors. We're not seeing a lot of bright greens, a lot of bright reds together, and that is an encouraging sign. But that's the rotational component of this is beginning to exit Honeypath and get closer to Princeton. So that's why we're going to be watching these areas so closely, and even some of the roads along here, Irwin Mill Road, Highway 25, Brewerton, Blue Heaven. These are spots where I'd like for you to remain in your safe place until we can get this storm to move by you completely to the east. But again, it's out of caution that the tornado warning is still in effect because of the fact that these can easily cycle back up and cause some problems for us. And there's even been, I'm looking at another source here, and there's even some rotation happening down toward Abbeville near Calhoun Falls, but that it isn't quite significant enough at this point for a warning to happen. But they certainly saw the fact that we had a couple of segments intersecting around Anderson earlier to really indicate that rotation could translate to a tornado. And we even had tornado possible tags on some of these severe thunderstorms earlier, which just meant that we were seeing the rotation little by little gain some steam as it got into the upstate. So again, the worst of it right on top of Princeton now, getting out of Honeypath. We're getting a lot of lightning strikes, a lot of heavy rain. This is going to be a rain-wrapped tornado most likely if we were to get one across parts of Anderson County and then into Lawrence County. So it looks like it is starting to really cross into Lawrence County at this point. Just a kind of a reminder that Greenville, Spartanburg, you are not under any tornado warnings right now. We've just got a lot of heavy rain and thunder that you're hearing out there. It's a fresh storm track on this storm right now as we've got Princeton, Mount Gallagher, Gray Court, Lawrence, Aura. We're going to leave that up for you just for a moment because this is, just some of that crucial information, Catherine, that, folks who are waking up to a tornado warning, it's a scary situation, especially if you've got to wake others up in the household, if you've got elderly or if you've got kids that you need to get into that safe place. So we hope to be able to deliver some good news soon.
Yeah, we do. And, we're still waiting to see if they're going to continue. National Weather Service will continue this warning or if it's going to expire. So this is something we're waiting on, but this is still in place right now. So still take this exactly how it is. A tornado warning remains in effect at least until the next couple of minutes. As we know right now, this is northwestern Lawrence, southeastern Greenville County, just portions of it, east central Anderson, and then northeastern Abbeville counties. So we know around 2 o'clock this morning there was a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and that is something that we have seen actually multiple times this morning with some of these storms. It looks like they did just end this tornado warning too, which is very nice to see. But I'm not going to say, this can't happen again. These storms are clearly capable of at least producing a tornado or at least something potentially of that matter here as we go on throughout the morning. Those strong damaging winds are something that we have seen. And then this is something we're going to continue to track too, as well as just those severe thunderstorm warnings that we've seen pop. Many too throughout the morning, and we're not quite done, but that tornado warning has expired, so you can come out of your safe space right now. If we have called you into that'd be the Princeton area, the Honeypath area. As it goes towards Lawrence and Mount Gallagher, Gray Court, though, we're not saying we're all completely in the clear, right, Kendra? This could happen
No,
again.
It's a great point. And yeah, just to reiterate what National Weather Service is saying, that the storm no longer appears capable of producing a tornado, but there is still a severe thunderstorm warning in place for it, and there could be a tornado that develops in the next few minutes. That's still a possibility even when you have a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're going to stay on top of it for you. We've got Chrissy Kohler in. Catherine's been helping me in the background, as you just heard. And we will be here keeping you posted as this line moves through, and we'll break back into programming if another tornado warning is issued or if we detect any extremely high winds. But it's a mess out there, so be careful. Hopefully you can hunker down and ride out this thunder, lightning, and gusty wind. Of course, you can download the Fox Carolina First Alert Weather app by scanning the code on your screen, and that way you can get our updates sent straight to your phone, and you'll be the first to know when things like tornado watches and warnings happen because those alerts automatically come right to you. Thanks for sticking with us for your overnight coverage.
Well, good morning, everyone. 234 Perella Lewis here with you. We just have a new tornado warning issued for Lawrence County. So let's get right to live Super Doppler 4 radar, show you exactly what's going on. We have been tracking a whole host of storms here throughout the morning, throughout the afternoon. This new tornado warning has just been issued for the National Weather Service, and again, does include Lawrence County. Let's get a storm track on this and show you exactly where this is heading and what you can expect as these very strong winds, by the way. We've had some strong storms with some pretty strong winds that have been coming out of these storms throughout really the morning hours and even into last night. So if you're in White Plains Crossroad, if you're in Milton, if you're in Bush River School, if you're in Kennards, this is heading your way at 240, 241, and 249. This is going to be heading your way. Again, a tornado warning has just been issued. Chris? Yeah, Chris just, poor Chris Justice, he tried to leave for a second and couldn't quite get out of here. Yeah, okay, thanks so much. All right. All right, first of all, if you are in the path of this storm, you want to take cover immediately. Get away from, if you're in the upper levels of your home, you want to get down to the lowest level of your home. We got a lot of lightning associated with this, by the way. It's rain wrapped, so please don't try to go outside and even take a look at this and see it. I know it's tempting, but this has got a lot of rain and it's got a lot of wind. Even out ahead of the storm, we're picking up on a lot of wind along with the storm itself. This tornado warning, by the way, is not set to expire until 3 o'clock this morning. So we've got several minutes here where we are going to be under the gun. All right, Zion Hill, this is heading your way if you're in the path of that storm. Mountainville, it's on your way if you're in the path of this storm. Again, lots of lightning, pretty strong wind, and look at this. Looks like it's moving, well, right towards Zion Hill Church, Mountville. This is heading your way. A lot of wind, a lot of lightning. Just measured over 500 strikes of lightning with this, by the way, just about 5 minutes ago. A very electrical storm. As this continues to push east, it's inside an area where we already have a tornado watch. Some rotation has been detected with this storm, so we're continuing to follow it. Here we go. All right, some rotation is in this storm at the moment, possibly picking up on a little rotation here. Cross Hill, you were in the path of this storm. This is essentially going to be, it's moving right along basically Highway 221, moving east, heading out toward Highway 56. This is where we're picking up the potential of maybe a little rotation or a potential here. Taking a live look at our Lawrence Skycam, you could see, boy, it's so tough when you're trying to go out and look at these storms because they are so rain wrapped. So you have to be, again, careful. You don't want to go outside and try to take any pictures or get this. If you're in the path of this storm, go ahead and take cover immediately. I'll tell you, if nothing else, we've got some very, very strong winds. These things are cranking as they push to the east right now. What is that, 40, 50 miles an hour, Chris? Can you see?
55 miles per hour right here through Lawrence County, and 60 mile per hour winds. You got that from uptown Greenwood up to the north, but the rotating parts right here in southern Lawrence, right there.
I mean, this is part of a pretty strong cluster here, but they're kind of individually beginning to kind of move out ahead of some of these storms, getting a little bit of, tapping into a little bit of extra energy from the atmosphere here. But yeah, he just put a fresh storm track on this, and here we go. White Plains, you are in the path of this storm. Zion Hill Church, you are in the path of this storm. This is crossing over Waterloo into basically Mountville. Milton, this is heading your way. And again, this thing is moving very, very quickly. This is not a slow moving storm. So if you are even, 5-10 miles out ahead of this, you just want to make sure that picking up on some rotation here, possible rotation in Cross Hill. Again, along basically Highway 221. Here we go, Highway 39, about to cross over Highway 72 into Mountville. Harris Springs, you're basically on the back side of this. You're still getting some wind associated with it, but again, the possible rotation here, right here, where, we've got a lot of lightning. We've got a lot of lightning everywhere, but certainly, look at all this rainfall too. Anytime you're in the yellow, you've got the medium amounts of rain. The red, you've got the heavy amounts of rain. It's rain wrapped. It's very hard to see. So again, you might just be, hearing some thunder or seeing some of this rainfall, but again, inside it, we've got possible rotation here. Look at that. Yep. Yeah, that does not look good, that's for sure. Again, moving into Cross Hill, if you're on Highway 56, if you're anywhere even around this area, just a little bit ahead of the storm, just know this is heading your way. And again, you're likely getting some very strong winds even out ahead of this. So Cross Hill, you are under the gun right now, under a tornado warning until 3 o'clock this morning. We just had a tornado warning just to the west. So basically, this is part of a storm cluster that's left the Princeton area and now moving through Lawrence County. This thing is booking at 45, 50 miles an hour. Chris, look at this possible hail too, just to the south of that. So everybody, I mean, if you are in red or yellow here, you've got some storms going on here. Possible hail, here we go. Oh, back into Anderson, we saw some hail earlier, possibly getting some hail there, some smaller hail, maybe in Greenwood. But again, we are looking at this tornado warning. So please take cover now. If maybe you're watching at home, maybe you're just turning the TV on. If you're upstairs, please go downstairs. If you don't have a tornado plan in place, you want to get away from trees, you want to get away from doors, you want to get away from windows, lowest level of your home. Sometimes a bathroom does the trick. It just depends on what your home setup is. But Cross Hill, this is moving basically right through your area. Again, very rain wrapped. You're not going to be able to see this, but our radar, live Super Doppler 4 radar, picking up on new scans every 30 seconds, is seeing the possibility, very likely rotation. So here we go as we move across Little River Church. This is going to be in your area at 2:45 here, and then at Mudlick also at 2:45. So another 4 minutes or so, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Again, think about a car moving about 50 miles an hour. It doesn't take long, right? And this has got a lot of wind ahead of it. It's got a lot of rainfall ahead of it. And then it's got the possibility of rotation here, still right around Cross Hill. This tornado warning remains in effect until 3 o'clock. Waterloo picking up on some heavy rain as well on the back side of this. Still lots of lightning. You're probably hearing this, by the way. This has got a lot of power to it as it kind of moves into your area. So here we go. Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice kind of working the radar, showing you where that possible notch is and where that possible rotation is. So here again, back along Highway 560. This is pushing into your area. This is the real crux of the storm, the most dangerous part, the possible tornado, as we are picking up on the possibility of some rotation here. Mountville, Cross Hill, you are all under a tornado warning until 3 o'clock. This does extend basically through parts of Lawrence County. Here we go. It's part of a cluster of storms, so he zoomed out for us a little bit here. If you're in Greenwood, if you're in Bradley, you remain under a tornado watch, and you've still got severe thunderstorms going on, but you are not under a tornado warning, but you still have some nasty weather. Possibility of picking up on lots of hail still, even at this hour, even though the atmosphere has been nice and worked over. That severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for your area, by the way, until 3:15. So this is kind of that last nasty line, at least a part of where we're talking about this specific cluster. We could have a little bit more back out to the west, but Elberton, Greenwood, Cross Keys, you are all basically, you've got a lot of storms going on, some heavy, heavy rainfall, lots of lightning, and these winds have been very, very impressive. Anytime you have a severe thunderstorm warning, you have to have either a certain size hail, or you have to have winds of almost 60 miles an hour or greater. Some of these have been putting down 60 miles or greater very easily, but now with this tornado warning, Cross Hill up until 3 o'clock this morning, heading your way, getting a little bit closer, getting a fresh scan, looking at if there's still possible rotation within this storm. Treat it like it is. Mount Pleasant Church, I'll tell you, you keep coming up here, 2:45. So this is coming into your area in the next minute and a half to 2 minutes. White Plains, Cross Hill, heading out toward Milton. It's going to be just to the south and west of you as far as the possibility of the actual rotation. So tornado warning now until 3:15. So they have extended this because it's basically, we're now going to let this tornado, this possible rotation now move into the next county. So here we go. Tornado warning currently until 3 o'clock, and then already moving into the next county until 3:15. Again, it is moving very quickly. So if you're just waking up, you're in the path of this storm, please go into your tornado tornado plan. Whatever your plan is, get into the lowest level of your house. Get away from the rooms with trees, away from the room at least with windows and doors if you can. The winds out ahead of this have been very strong, by the way, along with inside the storms themselves. So you want to take cover immediately and treat this as the dangerous situation that it is. Part of a very long line of thunderstorms, kind of a cluster here, moving east. So Mount Carmel, 249. Joanna coming your way at 254, Silver Street at 257, and Newberry, it will be heading your way about 259, so just minutes away from all of those places we have just detected. Greenwood, you've got some heavy rainfall right now, possibly a little bit of hail as well, so just nasty storms coming our way, but the ones of concern, of course, are the ones under the gun right now with these tornado warnings. So again, if you were in the path of these storms, where these red boxes are, please take cover immediately. Go ahead and get everybody in your house up, get them downstairs, get them into the bathroom, get them into the basement, however your home is laid out. We want to make sure that you take precautions here. As we take a look, certainly some rotation possible. Getting this fresh scan in here. Cross Hill, Mountainville. Lots of rain moving out ahead of this thing, which is okay. Chris putting a new track on it for us. Thank you, Chris. 245 White Plains. So what is it? 245. So this is moving through your area right now. In the next minute, Mount Pleasant Church. We're going into Milton and then eventually into Woodson School. So this is also heading your way. Very powerful system. Lots of very strong winds inside of this, 60, 70 mile an hour winds. So wind damage very likely. We've been seeing a lot of trees down. We've been seeing a lot of power lines down. Thousands of power outages right now being reported across our area from Duke Energy. So, lots of damage reports. We've got hail damage reports. We've got trees down. But again, the winds are coming at us pretty hard and heavy with these storms. So we've got a tornado warning. Now, this has now left one county, moving into the next county, out just to the south of Newberry here. This is until 3:15, so another several minutes on this particular storm. Back out to the west here, still under that tornado watch for most of us until 4 o'clock this morning. So anytime you have a tornado watch, you're essentially, any thunderstorm that develops could rotate. It's more of a dangerous situation. So that's why we're here watching it for you throughout the night and throughout the early morning hours. Okay. All right. We're going to be back here every hour on the hour. We'll be back, in fact, at 3 o'clock. So in the next few minutes to keep you updated with these systems as they blow through. So for now, we're turning it to our regularly scheduled program, but back with you here in about 13 minutes, if not before.